What's up, folks? Good to have you back with us. So crypto's basically having a full-on tantrum right now, but here's the thing. While everyone's panicking, XRP might just be sitting pretty as the secret weapon for these 15-minute cities popping up everywhere. Ever wondered what living in one of these places is actually like? Buckle up, because we're about to give you the inside scoop today. All right, so check this out. We're looking at a $3.99 trillion crypto market cap right now. Yeah, we're down about 2.8%, which means we've dipped just under that sweet $4 trillion mark. Bitcoin's still crushing it at over 115K. Ethereum's hanging tough above 4,300. And our boy XRP, sitting pretty at number 3, is right at $3 even. We're down about 4% in the last day and nearly 7% for the week. But here's the thing. I bought that dip, baby. Oh yeah, you bet I did. Been watching it bounce between $2.95 and $3.15, and I swooped in around $2.97. Wasn't going crazy or anything, but hey, discipline is discipline, right? I saw my shot and bam, struck like lightning. That's just how I roll. Look, I'm in this for the long haul. I believe in what I'm holding, so when opportunity knocks, I answer. But remember, folks, not financial advice, just sharing what I'm doing. If this XRP update helping you out, please smash that like button. It really helps me reach more people in the crypto space. When you like the video, YouTube pushes it to more XRP investors and traders who need these updates. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, get this wild stuff. There's apparently some coordinated hit job happening on social media right now targeting MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor. I mean, the guy's got enough drama on his own, but Bitcoin Therapist is calling out bots, paid trolls, and crypto influencers all piling on in real time. This is pretty wild when you think about it, right? I mean, let's be real. Bitcoin's basically this massive hype machine. You've got guys like Michael Saylor and Corey Klippstein literally paying people to be the face of Bitcoin. It's kind of ridiculous when you step back and look at it, but now they're crying about getting smeared? Come on, man. Or are people just calling out what they're actually seeing that doesn't look so hot? Either way, here's my take. If MicroStrategy comes crashing down like some house of cards, that's all on Saylor. And here's a fun little history lesson for you. This dude was the biggest loser of the dot-com crash. We're talking a $13 billion loss. Did you know that? 13 billion with a B? So the million-dollar question is, has he actually learned anything? Because last I checked, he's still throwing everything into one basket. How's this story going to end? Is it going to be dot-com bubble 2.0 for our boy Michael? I honestly don't have a crystal ball, but man, these are the questions that keep you up at night. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually think Bitcoin's got legs for the long run. I really do believe we'll see countries jumping on board, but that doesn't mean every Bitcoin play is a smart one. You're absolutely right. BlackRock's already in the game, big time. When you see these financial giants like BlackRock and Fidelity not just dipping their toes, but actually offering Bitcoin to their clients, you know something's shifting. It's like watching the old guard finally say, okay, fine, we're doing this. But here's where it gets sketchy. This whole corporate treasury thing. Think about it. These digital assets can absolutely tank. We're talking 60, 70, even 90% drops when things go south. Now, imagine you're some company that loaded up your treasury with crypto and then decided to borrow against it. If you're not ready for those gut-wrenching drops we've seen before, you could be looking at a complete disaster. So yeah, handle with extreme care is right. But here's the flip side, and this is where it gets interesting. Once we actually get some real legislation in place, and these big financial players are all over this space, from cities to corporations to entire countries, maybe we won't see those crazy roller coaster rides anymore. Think about it. When you have that kind of institutional backbone, that massive stability, maybe the wild swings become a thing of the past. There's definitely some new dynamics happening here that we can't ignore. The whole landscape is changing, and we need to keep our eyes on these shifts. Speaking of which, check out what Jerome Powell just dropped.
So our role with Bitcoin really is to look at, with crypto, really is to look at the banks, and you know, we think it's, you know, banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers as long as they understand and can manage the risks, and it's safe and sound. As a good number of our banks that we regulate and supervise do that. The threshold has been a little higher for banks engaging in crypto activities, and that's because they're so new. And we don't want to make the mistake. If you're making a choice to conduct that activity inside a bank, which is inside the federal safety net with deposit insurance, then you want to be pretty sure that it's a safe and sound activity. So, we're not against innovation, and we certainly don't want to take actions that would cause banks to terminate customers who are perfectly legal.
So here we go. Banks are actually jumping in to crypto services. That's definitely happening. We're all expecting those rate cuts too, but here's what dropped over the weekend. Hugo Filion from Flare Networks and his crew were talking about how investors might start earning 4 to 7% yearly just for holding XRP. Now, VetXO made a solid point. Why would I want to lock up my XRP when I could potentially make more than that 4 to 7% just by holding it anyway? Yeah, I totally see where they're coming from. The thing is, though, we really need to be cautious with these new platforms. DeFi platforms are pretty exciting, sure, but they've all had this one major weakness, those bridges to get onto them. Looking back, and I'm not throwing shade at Flare Networks here at all, I'm actually really pumped about what they could pull off and genuinely hope they crush it. But speaking more broadly, we've got to make sure this platform doesn't fall into the same traps that others have. I think they believe they've cracked the code on this one. We're about to see on a massive scale whether they have or not. And honestly, that's going to be pretty exciting to watch. The idea of yield coming to XRP has me really excited because this could unlock the biggest pool of sitting around liquidity we've ever seen in digital assets. I genuinely believe that. Can't wait to see how this whole thing plays out. All right, so get this. If you can hook me up with returns that actually go toe-to-toe with US bonds, and I don't have to dump my XRP to cash in, you're basically saying I can skip the whole capital gains headache just to earn some yield. That's the secret sauce to becoming an XRP hodler for life right there. Oh, and I've got to give props to Dan Fisher. This dude's the community relations manager at Ripple, and he's straight up incredible. Seriously, if you haven't crossed paths with him yet, you need to make it out to XRP Las Vegas. Trust me, he's one of those people you just instantly connect with. So Dan breaks down these mind-blowing numbers. XRP's network fee is something like 0.0002 cents. I'm talking pocket change that you'd lose in your couch cushions. Meanwhile, ETH clocks in at 40 cents, and that's when it's behaving. When things get crazy on that network, you're probably looking at 40 bucks. It's absolutely bonkers. Bitcoin's sitting at $2 for fees, and again, that's when the stars align perfectly. Transaction speeds, Bitcoin takes anywhere from 10 minutes to a full hour, ETH cruising at about a minute. XRP's just demolishing the competition on literally every front. I mean, is there really any mystery about where this train's headed? Or maybe we should just let David Schwartz spell it out for us.
It's crazy, but end-to-end messaging prior to a payment is revolutionary, which is it's ridiculous. Like you go to a bank and you tell them you want to make an international payment. You tell them, how much is this going to cost me? Oh, we don't know. How much money is going to be delivered? Oh, we don't know. Because there's no messaging. The money is just sort of pushed down a pipe and eventually something will come out the other side. We kind of wound up having to fix like the whole payments infrastructure. And I think we built RippleNet, which is a genuinely like better payment technology. We have the XRP ledger, which I think is a genuinely better payment technology. And, there's this saying, like, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. Well, we got two better mousetraps, where payments are still awful. So I think, we have the technology to allow every financial institution on the planet to settle with every other financial institution in a compatible jurisdiction in any asset in seconds for less than a penny. Just think about this.
Think about it. It's brilliant, right? For literally less than a penny, every single bank could be using this. The only reason they haven't switched over is because they're raking in cash from all the friction baked into the old system. Well, all that's about to get flipped on its head with new legislation hitting the books. That's exactly why we're seeing this domino effect happening globally right now. Japan just greenlit a yen-pegged stablecoin for the first time. Could roll out as soon as this fall. And I'd bet dollars to donuts it's going to live on the XRP ledger too. Because look what we've already got cooking. Real USD, USDC, that Singapore stablecoin, 2 different Euro stablecoins, and Brazil's stablecoin. This thing's just snowballing. And we already know from VetXO that we've got USD, Euro, Japanese yen, British pound, Aussie dollar, and Swiss franc all issued as stablecoins on the XRP ledger. Just keep adding them to the growing pile. This is pretty mind-blowing stuff we're watching unfold. And get this, it's all happening through Bitstamp and Robinhood too. That's just incredibly exciting. I'm getting pumped watching this whole thing take shape right before our eyes. You guys see what's going down here? The XRP ledger is basically becoming the home base for every country's digital money. That's literally what we're witnessing, and we're still this ridiculously early in the game. But here's the thing about the G7 and G20. We don't need every single one of those 190 plus countries to put their digital currency on the XRP ledger for this to be a massive win. Now, we just need the heavy hitters, the G7, the G20, basically the world's economic powerhouses. Once those big players set up shop there, it's going to be like the difference between being on the regular internet versus being stuck in some dark corner of the web. Everyone else is going to want in because that's where all the action is. The biggest economies, the major financial institutions, all the serious money. That's exactly how this domino effect works. And honestly, I think we're watching it happen in real time right now. This is precisely why Ripple's playing the waiting game for that national charter, trust license, and Federal Reserve master account. That's the golden ticket right there. It would basically make them the backup lender with all the world's digital money flowing through the XRP ledger. Can you imagine that? It's like we're building a brand new superhighway for the next generation of money. I absolutely love the direction this is all heading. This is pure infrastructure play at its finest. And I've got to share this gem again from Sal Gilberti over at Tucrio.
You know, what's Ripple going to do with its 40 billion XRP? Given that they filed to be a bank, you know, there's one of the leading theories that they just hold that on their balance sheet. They get their banking license and they become a top 20 capitalized bank in the world. That's with XRP at $3. XRP goes to, you know, some multiple of $3. They become a top 10 bank or even the top bank in terms of capitalization. That's pretty astounding.
That would be insanely astounding. And I think a lot of people are sleeping on that idea. If you look at leveraged ETFs, do you feel like they'll ever be on chain to where we'd be able to trade these on chain?
I think everything will be on chain. I don't think there's anything that won't eventually be on chain. There's no question.
First off, this guy is razor sharp, seriously brilliant. Major props to both of these guys. They're operating on another level entirely. So check this out. I just walked you through how the world's currencies are already landing on the XRP ledger, right? Now, let's mix in what he's saying and think about this scenario. Ripple gets that banking license and suddenly goes, you know what? We're not dumping that 40 billion XRP anymore. We're hanging on to it like we're the lender of last resort, basically like a central bank. But here's where it gets crazy. Now, this central bank also happens to control a ledger that's got all the world's money sitting on it through stablecoins and CBDCs. At that point, you're looking at something that's like the BIS, the World Bank, the IMF, and a next-gen SWIFT system all rolled into one monster platform. That's the vision I'm here for, and I genuinely think that's the puzzle we're watching come together piece by piece. Now let's talk about this. I know everyone's losing their minds because crypto's been dropping like a piano from a 10-story building. The sky is falling, they're screaming about crypto. But here's the reality check. We're talking about a macro range between 265 and 365. As long as we're bouncing around inside that zone, everything else is just white noise. All this back and forth we've been watching, pure noise. And honestly, why this noise is even happening, nobody really knows for sure. But here's what I'm chalking it up to, and this is just my take on things. Congress basically peaced out for their August break. When they roll back into session, the stage is absolutely set for this market to go completely ballistic, assuming they actually get their act together and push through the work. We're talking about getting the Clarities Act locked and loaded, signed into law by October just like it's scheduled, plus hammering out that tax bill for crypto here in America. And honestly, probably won't happen this round, but man, would I love to see them flip the script to a fair use tax system. That would be genius. Think about it. With all this digital money flying around on-chain at lightning speed, we could have taxes getting collected instantly on every single transaction and just ditch income and capital gains taxes completely. How sick would that be? Meanwhile, if we actually see all this legislation get pushed through properly and on schedule, we're looking at $13 trillion total when we're sitting at $4 trillion right now. That's another $9 trillion ready to flood into this space. I'm telling you, I've got plenty of room on my bingo card for all of this madness, so bring it on. Let's see what happens. And hey, obviously not financial advice from me or anyone else. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.